After an emergency landing on Interstate 70 in Kansas City overnight.
And drought conditions not improving across the area. We have some rain on the way. We'll break it all down in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And are you sick of those warranty robocalls? What you need to know.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An intoxicated pilot runs out of fuel and lands his plane on Interstate 70 early this morning. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, a pilot makes an emergency landing on a busy stretch of I-70 in the Kansas City metro. The Missouri Highway Patrol says it happened in the westbound lanes of I-70 at mile marker 26 east of Grain Valley. Troopers say the plane was able to avoid all vehicles on the interstate, but did have a minor collision with a guardrail. The pilot was the only person on board and suffered minor injuries. According to the report, the 35-year-old pilot had flown from Kansas City to Daytona Beach, Florida the day before and was returning early this morning. Troopers say he radioed in an emergency landing after running out of fuel. He was arrested on the scene for intoxication by a combination of alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, we are in need of some rain across the 4-state area. In fact, across a good chunk of the country. Here locally, a lot of us sitting in the moderate drought area, which means we're experiencing moderate drought conditions. A lot of us also in the dry category, and that's just because it has been so hot and dry. And unfortunately, things aren't changing. This is, take a look, southwest Missouri and extreme southeast Kansas are clear, but the rest of these counties all in orange under a heat advisory through 8 o'clock tonight. And those temperatures are not going to get any better, unfortunately. As we head through the overnight hours, it's not going to cool off much. We're heading for afternoon highs. We're still not there yet, but we're going to get there, and we're talking about the upper 90s to near 100 degrees, and we are slow to cool off. 97 at 6, 93 by 8, 87 at 10 p.m., and still sitting at 84 by midnight. Now, there is a slight chance of an isolated shower, maybe a thunderstorm in our area this afternoon. Most of us are going to stay dry and very hot. Now, as we head into the overnight, the one little piece of good news is it's going to cool off somewhat well. We're talking the mid 70s, upper 70s. We may even be pushing 80 by sunrise. We're going to have more on this complete forecast and what the week ahead holds and those rain chances here in just a little bit.
Well, Europe is also baking in the heat, topping World Watch. Record-setting triple-digit temperatures in Portugal and Spain are making it hard for firefighters battling a series of wildfires. And in Italy is in the middle of a severe drought that threatens some of the country's most famous food exports. Chris Livesay reports from an Italian region that's running out of water.
We shouldn't be able to walk here.
This is foundations of bridge, and there was also a river port here.
Ancient Roman ruins in Rome's Tiber River dating back nearly 2,000 years, now revealed by a heat wave and Italy's worst drought in 7 decades, says Professor of Urban Planning Tom Rankin.
The water normally is up to our waist or shoulder height at this point, and now I'd say it's gone beyond the wake-up call.
Some towns are now rationing water, and Rome could be next.
Now, there's a trick to getting a good drink out of these Roman fountains. But that's only if you get here in time. The city is considering shutting them all off if the drought worsens.
Experts blame global warming. This month in the Italian Alps, 11 climbers were crushed to death when record temperatures caused part of this glacier to collapse. Downhill in much of Italy's north, the heat and drought have left rice fields for risotto bone dry, and the Po River Valley, which produces 40% of Italy's food, like pasta and wine, now in a government state of emergency. In the Rome countryside, the alarm is audible.
I can hear the grass crunching beneath our feet.
The Petrucci olive orchard has crafted exquisite extra virgin oil since the 1600s. But the drought has turned its future into a row of tombstones.
Half are dead.
Half are dead.
And this is one of them.
Yes.
Sabina Petrucci now has to truck in water. What does this mean for people who want to buy good olive oil?
We will ask a lot more for the final product price.
So higher energy costs and the drought mean higher prices at the grocery store.
Yes, we have to think about all this business, even if it's a family business since forever.
So after centuries of making olive oil, this might be the end?
Yes.
And solving these problems have just gotten a whole lot more difficult. Last night, the Prime Minister of Italy tendered his resignation after one of the biggest parties in the country pulled its support from his government. So that means things like the environment and the drought. Let's just say they're not Italy's only emergencies. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
Well, basketball star Brittany Griner returned to a Russian court today. She listened from inside a cage as her lawyers submitted evidence in her case. The WNBA star has been detained since February when cannabis oil was found in her luggage. Today, her lawyers gave evidence that she has permission in the U.S. for medical use of cannabis for chronic pain. Last week, she pleaded guilty in an effort to secure a less severe sentence. She faces 10 years behind bars, and the U.S. says she is being wrongfully detained and is doing everything it can to secure her release. Last month, Americans received more than 7 billion robocalls, and now there's a new effort to stop at least some of them. Elise Preston explains.
When the phone rings, it's often a robocall, and one in particular is frustrating consumers everywhere.
We have not received a reply to notices that you have received in the mail regarding your vehicle service contract.
The call blocking app RoboKiller says last year Americans received almost 13 billion calls about car warranties.
At this point in 2022, it is statistically possible that every American who owns a phone number, so even if you have multiple phones, has received a car warranty robocall at least 3 times.
The Federal Communications Commission is cracking down on these calls.
The warranty is up for renewal. I'd like to congratulate you on your $1,000 instant rebate.
The agency recently told several voice service providers to stop allowing illegal robocalls, and the Ohio Attorney General filed suit against a telemarketing group responsible for billions of these calls.
The suit itself alleges unfair and deceptive acts and practices, and it also alleges illegal robocalls and robocalling activity, things like calling people who are on the Do Not Call registry.
Melissa Smith with the Ohio Attorney General's office says consumers are often duped into buying a vehicle service contract.
And that differs from a car warranty. And many times these calls make it sound like this is going to have the same protection as a warranty, but that's not entirely true.
How do you know when a call is legit or bogus?
That can be really hard, especially for this type of robocall.
RoboKiller's Julia Porter says if you don't recognize a number, just don't answer the call. And if you do answer and it sounds suspicious, hang up. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, where in the world can you go hiking with wolves? What's happening in Spain? And we're going to take you there. And later, we're making the award-winning Lane Cake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Tourists in Spain are getting something to howl about. One man is taking people on hikes with his very own wolf pack. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
This is no ordinary dog walk, and it's not quite dancing with wolves. But tourists in Spain get to be leaders of the pack.
Bueno, estos son domesticados.
The wolves are domesticated, but their behavior is wild, says owner Miguel Carrillo. He raised 3 litters of wolves after his daughter joked they'd be better than a dog. When they're not walking on the wild side, he takes the pack into cities to work with children with autism. People are drawn to them, Carrillo says. They spend time petting and taking pictures. But in their natural habitat, the wolves hit their pace. When you share the environment with them, you can see their instincts. They behave differently, says this tourist. Each guest takes a leash. Make that a strong leash as they meander through the forest. On a walk in the woods, the wolves link the people to what's important. It was extraordinary, she says. I recommend it to help disconnect from the world and enjoy nature. while answering the call of the wild. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
They're so cute. The Iberian wolf is a protected species in Spain with roughly 2,000 remaining. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today, we head south for our prize-winning cake as our salute to regional favorites continues. Come along and join the fun.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Hot conditions are going to continue. As a matter of fact, drought conditions are a major concern for a number of us, especially off to the southwest. But here locally, we got a big chunk of the area sitting in the moderately dry category, and then we've just got dry conditions for portions of southeast Kansas. I wanted to show you this. This is from the National Weather Service office in Springfield. So they've got 4 cities in their area that they're highlighting: Springfield, Joplin, West Plains, and Rolla and Vichy, on forecast temperatures for next week, which we'll dive into in the 7-day. But as you can see, Joplin's the dark red. We are the highest daily average temperature all week. And you can see, look, we line this up. Look at what we're looking at. It's going to be hot. So let's talk about how hot it's going to be. Right now, our friends in a good chunk of southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma are under a heat advisory through 8 o'clock tonight, and that's because of how hot it's going to get. And what's going to happen is this. Temperatures, maybe see even the heat index values potentially rising, especially over the next couple of days because we have increasing storm chances. We're watching the potential for those rain chances this weekend, which might help out with that drought a little bit. And then summer is really going to kick into full gear by next week. So over the next 24 hours, as you can see, 10 o'clock, 86. It is not going to cool off very much. Upper 70s to start the day, maybe even an 80-degree reading or two before temperatures take off. And behind this cloud, it says 102 degrees. And that's for tomorrow, for Saturday. It's going to be toasty. So let's take a look at future tracks. So as we head into tomorrow, you can see we've got increasing scattered shower and thunderstorm chances. This is 3:30, southeast Kansas, maybe even some in southwest Missouri with expansive cloud cover. But what you can also see is it's not doing anything for the temperatures. Look, 101 in Joplin, 98 in Nevada, 95 in Chanute. So despite any potential rain or cloud cover, not a lot going on. Now, storm chances slightly increase. So this is just explaining the rough area where we may see them, but these storms are going to be scattered at best, not necessarily a full overhaul. And because of that, once again, they're not doing much for temperatures, but they might help out a little bit in the drought. As we head through the rest of today, temperatures heading into the lower 90s to near 100 degrees with a breezy south wind gusting to 18. Wind calms down a little bit tonight, and temperatures, because that wind's still out of the south, it's going to keep it warm. We're 85 at midnight, 82 by 2 a.m. Starting the day at 79, near 80 degrees as you head out the door. Well, if you're up early on Saturday. If you're sleeping in, unfortunately, it's going to be even hotter by the time you wake up. So let's talk about the future. 99 for Saturday with a 30% chance of those showers and thunderstorms. It increases by Saturday, or Sunday rather, I'm sorry. And as it does, we may see a few more of these showers and thunderstorms. So it's going to keep highs in the lower 90s. So that'll help a little bit, and any rain we get certainly will help. And then take a look at the week ahead. 100-degree readings across the board. And I want to emphasize these temperatures, like the 105 on Tuesday, these aren't feels-like temperatures. These are air temperatures. Now, the good news is the humidity and dew point are expected to remain somewhat low as we head into the first part of the week. So any heat index values should be relatively limited. But as you can see, it certainly does not get any better as we head into the week ahead.
Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Private First Class Orville Burkhart in the U.S. Army. The Racine, Missouri native joined the 413th Infantry, fighting in both Germany and France from 1944 to 1945. He earned the Good Conduct Medal, the European Campaign Ribbon, and 3 Battle Stars. To Private Orville Burkhart, we thank you, our four-state hero. Today we're making a prize-winning cake that's said to have originated in Alabama back in the 1800s. Howard shows us how to make Lane cake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As our journey in search of some of our country's best regional favorites continues, today we're headed south. And the cake we're making was first created in Alabama, but got its notoriety when it won first prize at the county fair in Columbus, Georgia. So what do you say we whip up a shortcut version of it? We begin by beating a package of white cake mix with some water and a bit of vegetable oil until it's smooth. Once it is, we fold in some whipped egg whites. We want to do this gently so the cake bakes up nice and light. We pour this into a couple of cake pans before baking it off. For the filling, which I think is the best part, we combine a container of coconut pecan frosting with some chopped cherries, pecans, raisins, and a bit of brandy. After the cakes cool, we cut each layer in half and start building our cake. Then the whole thing gets frosted with white icing. One look or taste, and it's no wonder why it's prize-worthy. With the light as can be cake, the crazy rich filling, and the kick you get from the brandy, there's no way not to fall in love with it. The recipe for what is known as lane cake is online now and is ready for you to enjoy. Hey Kelly, you want to try a slice? I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a classic Southern way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
She took the whole cake. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back.